By fun for who? By tomorrow, I'll catch up. But at the moment,
It's a
I'm
bold claim. Tomorrow's a long
planning
way
ahead.
away, and the distance, the amount
Yeah.
is a lot. Now,
Right. Okay.
okay,
So
so the
bring us
fun
up to
stuff
speed.
we got OpenAI doing an annoying thing where they are calling it the 12 days of Christmas
Ah,
for the
yeah, I
next.
saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
There's
so
small
they released.
drops,
Yeah,
some
but
large, some small.
blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But they released O1. O1 is here now. It is the full
Mm.
model. It is polite. It is smart. It is everything you want in a companion.
Have you had a chance to drill it in the any diffs between O1 and O1 preview?
Yeah, it's not autistic. O1 preview blathers on for ages, and O1 preview like thinks for 12 seconds if you just say hello, like a
Yeah,
startled nerd.
yeah.
But O1, you just go hello, and it's nice and quick.
Okay.
And now
All right.
it's also polished, right? Like how does a scramjet work,
Thinking.
right?
Oh,
And it's just like
it's not showing you its thought process. Interesting.
well, it is, but it's just like
It's just too fast. Maybe.
well, there's not a lot to think about because it's a straightforward question. That's one of the features that they said that they fixed for
Well,
us.
ask it something more complex. How does a scramjet model that requires a turbine jet relate to business? Let's give it something a bit more meaty. Let's see what it thinks. Sorry, I'm burning tokens here, but that's what I do. I'm the
The
there used to be a term in the
tokenizer.
Royal Navy called a WAFU, which stood for one of two things: either weapons and fuel user, or wet and fucking useless. And I think I'm a similar. There's a similar thing for token user. Um, Damn, that's fast. Ah, oh God. Okay, nice one, guys.
But so it's like it's etiquette is good. Like the length of reply is nice. Like it's
Yeah, yeah. It's
polite.
not giving you like 1,000 words
No,
for 12 words
and
prompt.
it's worded nicely. You know, like it's structured well. The also the speed is good because it what it does is it doesn't do like excessive numbers of steps. It only does like sort of the minimum.
Yeah.
But one of the other things they released in this 12 Days of Christmas is reinforcement learning. So
Oh, yeah. I'm not
it's
a
not
fan of that, but yeah.
here.
Anyway.
No, no, no. It's different though. It's different. It's way good. You should watch it. It seems to be what happens is it comes out on YouTube, and then you got to kind of watch the YouTube and piece it together. But um, what they've done is they allow you to do fine tuning where they're not fine tuning the response of the model. They're fine tuning the reasoning pathways that the model takes. So
Oh, okay.
with a very small number of corrections, the performance gain is appears to be quite significant because
Okay. All right.
yeah,
Well, that's
because
good.
it's
That's good.
steering the reasoning, and so we
Oh,
should
there
be
goes
able to.
Agentic out. There goes Agentic out the window. That's negative.
Nah, agentic's always valuable. We know that.
Yeah.
We
No,
know that.
I'm a Agentic skeptic at the moment. I'm willing to be proved wrong, but I think Agentic's going to go out the window. Uh, I'll play with this and try and
All right.
reinforce my
Well, we should
preconceived
come up with a good
ideas.
sort of reasoned argument as to why we both
Yeah.
think those differing things.
Well,
Um,
well, well. Also, because I'm not entirely sure I'm right. So,
it's hard to know who is right around here anymore. But so the point of GPT Pro though is that so these benchmarks I think are unfairly negative to O1 Pro, where they show an improvement, but what appears to be happening is that they are allowing O1 Pro to grind like buggery through the reasoning. So what would typically reason for like, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, like that'll be a big job for O1. This just keeps going. And
Is that just Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
the quality of the answer, like it's such a long process that they gave it a progress bar.
Yeah.
And that's what the $200 is for, because the quality of output appears to be superior in these benchmarks that aren't really testing. Like, you can't benchmark a really hard problem, I don't think, particularly not a novel one. And I mean, what I'm trying to say is like the problem when you have a really hard problem, the benchmarks don't mean squat, really,
Right.
because it's like it's a hard problem, and you would be the only one that really
right snake. It's like, yeah, blah. There's
So-
about 20 benchmarks that you currently use, which mean nothing actually.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's just, even if you had a benchmark that was made of really hard questions, that doesn't seem to mean much when it's your hard question, because it's so unique that you just want, any improvement would be considered good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but
So
that's what Pro does, and Pro is $200 US a month, and I hope that it comes to the API, but it will be expensive either way. I think we should just get one just to play with it, because
is the token burn the same cost? So 200
burns
gets you access, and then the token burn is the same.
No, $200 in ChatGPT Pro gives you unlimited usage of O1 and unlimited usage of Pro mode, as far as I can tell.
Really?
Which means that you could clock some significant token burn.
Man, I've been hammering tokens, so yay.
It might actually be cheaper than our API cost, actually,
Yeah, it might well be.
because O1 is a pricey beast. Actually, that would be cheaper.
It would be, because
We've also been holding off, right? Like, I love O1, but I have to stop because I'm like, oh, I shouldn't.
I know, and I've been going back to 4.0 and Mini and Gemini, and then pulling in threads.
Yeah.
And then O1 sits there for 30 seconds going, let me think about that. And you're thinking, how much is this costing?
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to do. Is there any? So, you've already talked about qualitative improvement. Sorry, I'm still feeling quite ill, so my brain is not working.
That's okay, buddy.
But so, other than the recursive nature of its responses, is there any improvement that you've seen in terms of the quality of the reasoning?
I haven't tried O1 Pro mode, and I haven't seen in detail any demos that it's done other than these benchmarks, so I can't speak to that. But given the massive gain that reasoning gives you anyway, I would say absolutely for sure. That the extra reasoning makes it better. But I just sort of want to glimpse at the notion of this reinforcement learning thing. That means that if, let's assume O1 Pro comes to the API, which means that you can direct it to keep reasoning for like long periods of time, and you can provide training that steers it between how it should reason, then that means that you can control some super deep reasoning things going on.
Can I explain why I'm roughly kind of on the the anti side of that comment? So, with suitable prompting, you can filter without having to provide any examples of what you want. Now, if we're working in a world where, what we're trying to do, we don't know what people are going to come up with. What's the training set? What we're going to be doing?
It's a stuck. We don't need to. The the benefit I see is that Stux, the issue with Stux, and then making a fine-tuned model, like why we've actually done no work on fine training on our side of things here,
No,
is because
I played around with it.
yeah, but
and got this
it's
hard
never
result.
come up in our designs or our plans. And the reason that I had for that was that a Stuck is a fairly one-off thing, and to have meaningful fine-tuning data, you need quite a lot of things. Now, we could synthesize them, sure, but the fine-tuning was really about the shape of the model responses as opposed to the correctness of it, which is really what we were.
What do you think? You've read more about this, obviously, than I have. What do you think the arc of these guys' dev is going? Is it towards fine tuning, or is it towards just one model?
It's towards fine tuning. It's towards fine tuning because it's to the overall universal problem is context. Doesn't matter how smart your model is, it's worthless without good context.
Yeah,
and to give it context in a way that shapes how it thinks is really hard in traditional fine tuning. But with reinforcement learning, by being able to fine tune how it reasons, not in the conventional way where you're like, I need you to end every sentence with "sir." It's not that. It's just saying that the output is how you got there.
Yeah, but the problem, the reason I'm generally on the not fine tuning camp is that take a practical situation like the CRM. The only thing we can generate either is to troll through all previous transactions or generate synthetic data, but it's still going to be a relatively small data set. So how much influence that has over the weight of the full data set they've got, I'm dubious about. I'm willing to.
No. Look, it's not about what it's like for them, right? It's how easily we can steer the model. Like reinforcement learning is perfect for Stux because you only need one or two Stux, and it can be solved with a reinforcement learning.
Oh, so sorry. Sorry, I'm not.
You're really not so good, eh?
I'm not doing my silence thing. Sorry.
You're not burning the reasoning tokens?
No. What you're saying is
you could burn some. I'm ready for you this time. I came up with some hold music.
Sweet Child of Mine. Oh, excellent choice. Yeah. So this is probably not helpful because I'm going to start singing at any point, and nobody wants that. Oh, that's one of my favorites. Yeah, so we've got the possibility that the information, given a large enough stuck network, we've got a training network there. And I think what you're saying is why not use the evidence that this is actually a stuck in order to solve it by fine-tuning the model and saying solve this with all this information that we've gained. Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying that if in the worst case scenario where a stuck is a one-off thing and we can't find any other any extra examples that we can use as a traditional fine-tuning set, being able to use reinforcement learning to improve the correct reasoning pathways, ones that gave a better outcome than other ones, allows for a more general solution to the problem, because you've corrected the way that the model, or you've steered or tuned the way the model thinks about things, and that is what has been giving you the benefit of an improved outcome. that has a far, like, remarkably higher chance of a new similar problem reaching the correct output because the thinking was right, as opposed to having the tuning have shifted it. Like, reasoning is remarkably more steerable than fine tuning. Like maybe 1,000,000,000,000,000 times more steerable than fine tuning.
Yes. Right. Pause. That's really not helping. Although I do like it. I think it's funny. But the I'm not going to die and ditch over this particular point because I don't think we know yet. But fine tuning requires some a priori knowledge, and on a stuck, you don't actually know where you want to go yet because it's a stuck.
Oh, I meant sorry. I meant not a stuck. I meant a solve stuck that we wanted to get a better performance from the model with.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh
Sorry.
yeah. Oh,
Sorry,
yeah,
my
yeah,
bad.
yeah. No. That works absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that was Pro Mode. 01 is out. 01 is beautiful. Reinforcement learning, the future. That leads us to a more deeper problem that I want to talk about because
you do.
in
Oh, there's the eigenvector thing.
the correct way to use AI is to tell us what to do, because we are bad at that, and the best of us become billionaires or some other kind of revered person. But
it's cracking the code, right? So bear with me on this analogy, but Elon Musk.
hang on. Why don't you let me finish? Because I was trying to say something that took some time, and now you've jumped off on an analogy about something that you almost certainly don't get because I didn't even finish saying it.
Excellent point, wait. After you, sir.
We need to. This reasoning topic is a beautiful vein for us to be going down because it produces long-lasting knowledge that no matter how good the models get, the reasoning is gonna stand in principle. It may be improved and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so the question becomes, how high up can we make the reasoning? You know, like, can we make it run our whole lives? Can we make it run our domestic relationships? Can we make it run, all those things? And so at the very least, the next level up from where we're talking about using the reasoning is to say, what is the Dreamcatcher about? Where are its shortcomings, etc., etc. What are the logical steps that we should undertake?
Agreed. And
yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Still going. I need a talking stick. This one is curly. It's hard for me to say it because I don't really know how it goes, but the reasoning, clearly that's power, but we're not. The skill seems to be to ask the right questions, and to be able to ask the model, what should we do, how should we do it, in the right way, so that when new information comes, the response is good. Now, I get this instinct that we can make GPT Pro grind for the cumulative sum of, hours and hours and hours to come up with finely thought out reasoning as to what the Dreamcatcher is about, how we should go about doing it, how does it relate to its competitors.
Yeah, we get the oh, shit. Sorry, go on. After you, man. Sorry.
No, that's it.
Yeah. I think I know where you're going, and before I almost, you know, died, whatever, with some man flu. What I was doing was using reasoning against the definitions of Dreamcatcher in a cyclic manner. Now, that cyclic manner generates a lot of tokens and a lot of reasoning. Now, one of the things that I fell afoul of, partly as a Cursor is great. I love that tool, but it falls down on the targets. And so there's still quite a cognitive overload in terms of, I'm actually talking about this now, and so on. But
Right.
that being said, you know, c'est la vie. But cycling round, talking about at a meta level of a process is hugely productive because it tightens it up. Now, remember, I don't know, maybe 5 calls ago, I was talking about the definitions in some kind of bell curve where
Yep.
the definitions get larger and then they get smaller and more and tighter.
Yep.
That's what that cyclic curve is for.
Yeah. So being able to use O1 with these like unlimited credits and unlimited thinking time to basically make those definitions be as small as they possibly can. And the thing is, the examples I'm seeing is people trying to use this to help them do things like genetic sequencing, weather prediction. And I'm like, that's not us. We have a hard problem, but it's not even that hard. So surely this new tool could help us.
It's similar to genetic sequencing, although those guys have got harder.
Yeah. So that's sort of one pillar of the argument or the shift that I'm trying to push on us here. The second pillar is that with internal reasoning, it might be that a lot of the things that we want to figure out can be done internally. As in, this model has read every text ever written more than us.
Oh, I see. Oh, sorry. I see where you're going on that one. Yes. Sorry. Damn it. I was trying to get better over the last few weeks, and now I'm gone back. Yes. So.
Hang on, you just like interrupted, said sorry, said you're gonna be better, and then carried on with the interruption. It's like
I know, but I knew you were going with this.
Do you tell me, and
I think so.
If you get it wrong, what should the punishment be?
A good whipping around the back of the hut.
A good okay, tell me what I was gonna say.
I think you're alluding to the fact that the fine tuning part of it with reasoning actually amounts to effectively it could be even called an app. It's a capability that others don't have because others don't have access to the fine tuning data that you fine tuned this large model with.
No, there wasn't at all. It's not a bad idea. It's an interesting thing, but that's not what I was trying to say.
Okay, right. Well, I'll take myself out and whip myself later on.
Okay.
What were you trying to say?
Inside of O1 is all human knowledge.
Yeah.
And we keep trying to feed it information that we created, like transcripts and whatever, and ask it to reconcile things. But there's a large range of tasks that it might be able to self-reason about because it already knows all the stuff. Like you take this stuff we've been reviewing with A0, the blockchain,
Mhm.
O1 knows about A0. It knows more about A0 than us. And so if
Even
we
knows
were
about
to,
Interbit. Yeah.
yeah, if we
Mm.
were to tell it to grind through making a comparison system between all those things, and then we sort of, the issue in Cursor or even in O1 plane is that you can't, it's painful to refeed its stuff back in.
Mm-hmm.
But in O1 Pro, it sort of just keeps on going. And you know what I mean? So
Have
it might,
you? Oh, sorry. I'll
we
leave it
might be able
first.
to get
Go.
these comparative documents out with just so long as we got good at asking really good questions at the start. This thing might be able to generate a lot of what we're looking for, provided you give it questions that it can fight against itself a lot.
Um, I've not used Pro yet, obviously. But the thing with Preview was it lost the track. The longer the conversation goes on, the more it loses your train of thought. Um, Now I don't know whether Pro is.
Yeah, yeah, but this is, it seems that within its own reasoning, it doesn't seem to suffer that. And so if you can make its reasoning go long, that's different to making the chat go long.
Oh, I see. So you say, right, here is all previous reasoning around it. Think once
Yeah,
and give
like
me an
basically
answer.
slam the tokens up to like 128k, so you're packing as much context as you can,
It's not a bad strategy, actually. Yeah, it's
and
pretty
then
good.
just give it the right kind of question that it would just it could self check for a lot of the work based on its own internal understanding of the world.
You wouldn't even have to get it right first time, the question, because with preview, you're getting half an hour into it and you're saying, dude, I told you about this. I'm going to have to tell you about it again. And I mean, oh, thank you for reminding me. Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But the thing is that in the way the models work, is that all of the reasoning is dumped in the subsequent message. So
Mm-hmm.
it's only dealing with its own final output. It's not dealing with
Right.
its the reasoning doesn't get picked up. But with O1
Yeah.
Pro, it stays in reasoning mode for a long time.
Um, uh, I'd love to know what long meant there, but I get your the qualitative idea there, and if it does that, then that would be really cool. Um, by which, in the cyclic reasoning around Dreamcatcher, the kind of meta reasoning about Dreamcatcher I've been doing, I've often had to compile down and then start a new thread because it was just forgetting stuff. It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it was often one, which is a pain in the arse and not very automatable because it required a human brain to say, "Whoa, you're, you're drifting." Um, and what you're saying possibly is Pro does not drift if we give it substantive
Yeah,
information
yeah,
and a
but the problem
well-formed
becomes, how
question.
do we I mean, obviously we got to play with this thing to understand if it does what we want, but how do we know, like, how do we know that our definitions are good? Like, I read our definitions and I'm like, that
No,
sounds great.
that's exactly the point I've been working on. It's like um, I've been going down the three C's um, and going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and getting it tighter and tighter, I think. But actually, reading through them, you can't tell.
You can't tell. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And so there's a point where it's like it's good enough to use, and it's only from the use that you realize that something's missing.
Right, which is where renders came from, which is
Yeah.
you've got these definitions, render a model, and it's like, oh, no, that's not right. Um, well, in answer to your initial question, let's use this new tool. and find out how good it actually is. I've got my own kind of benchmarks, not in terms of time or tokens, but in terms of qualitative output. So let's run them.
Okay.
I think it's interesting also because anyone with $200 now has access to this. So the race is
Yeah,
on.
so then I'm like, well, should we be trying to reason through all these different things, right? The securities guardian.
Well, that should be straightforward enough, right? Because we've got our logic layer, which is the definitions. We've yet to do evals, which bothers me, but
Yeah, I know that kind of fell by the wayside, hey, but it's like, man,
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that still bothers me because I don't think that's something that a new model is actually going to do for us. I still think that's a piece of work to be done.
yeah,
However, we do have our base logic layer, which I think is a really strong way of thinking about these things. Now we should be able to now. Okay, I'm jumping around a bit. But remember I was saying just before I went off sick, I took a transcript, literally just someone talking about a system,
yep,
and then put it in,
yep,
and then there was a bunch of definitions. Now our previous talk was you're saying, okay, so take those definitions and then transcribe those into JSON, and now we've got some meat that we can actually deal with. That process is pretty sound, actually. I'd be confident to walk into, our friendly broker's room and do that live.
yeah. But what's the okay? Now we're getting to the heart of the question here. What's that mean if everyone can do it? Like, what are we offering? Like, all that does is help us know what we should do, but what it doesn't, that's not a product, right?
No, absolutely. And
that's
no,
like a strategy. That's like saying being the guy that invented Gantt charts back in whenever,
exactly.
and you're like, I got this technique, and you're like, so,
or our friend who invented a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I still think that our gold is the idea of the stuck loop. Still think that's the thing.
Well, I think that I think that I agree with you, but what I think is that you've stripped off some core components. When you say stuck loop, I think you also mean ambient attribution.
Yes, stuck loop requires ambient attribution and
Does it?
The record of contribution in order to incentivize. Yeah,
no, that's our version of it.
There might be another one, but anyone who wants to, stand up and give a better one, crack on. But essentially, what we're saying is, if you align incentives,
no, you don't need to tell me about the Dreamcatcher, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're sick, buddy. Don't worry about it. So but the question remains, right? Like we got reasoning. That's great. That's not a product. That's more like a management technique. We've got O1 Pro. That's nothing to do with us. That just fell out of the dear blue sky. Demanded an eye-watering price for a SaaS subscription, and then was like, so what? I'm the smartest machine on the planet. Pay up. I'm like, well, fine, okay.
Yeah, I think you're over indexing on product.
No, I'm not.
No.
What's the product then?
Well, no, I think you're over indexing on the need for a product. What we got is capability. Right. Remember when?
Now you're making me think you really are delirious. The thing I'm trying to get at is value. Where are we delivering value?
No, value is not a product.
Fine, carry on then. Tell me where the value is.
Capability.
That's just a fucking word. That's like saying the value is on Earth somewhere. I'm like, not helpful.
capability of two cars. One goes at 1.0
Don't care about a
minutes,
metaphor. Where is it for us?
1.1. If we're faster than the next guy, we're better.
What?
If we're faster than the next guy, we're better. And
Yeah,
what we're
doing what
saying,
though? Like, if like cars don't sell because like all it does is go faster. Like, no one's
no, but,
like, it's like,
but,
so you made the fastest car on earth. Congratulations. Now,
no, but
how will you pay the rent?
businesses do, and it takes a real small fraction of an improvement in order to.
Yeah, I know that. How does that how do we implement that with what we have? Because what we have has deviated significantly or decoupled, detached, splintered from implementation and has become simply turning up with a tool that someone else made.
Um,
How is that
right.
valuable?
The value is in how you screw these chunks together, right? Is there any
Do
tool
you
out
want to take?
there?
You sound like you should be burning tokens with that thought right now. Do you want to take some?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Do you
actually,
want
can I
the
also
Scottish?
take a moment to apologize? I'm still feeling like,
That's okay, buddy. Do you want to stop?
yeah, no, I don't, because this is really interesting. But
Okay, well, you just
I'm
sing out
just
if you want to stop. I know you're sick, and I feel
I'm asking I'm asking for your patience
okay.
with me being a bit belligerent or wrong or incoherent.
That's all right. I feel
Um,
guilty that I'm arguing with a sick person who's just had a delirious disease, but I'm like,
yeah,
well, we got to get this thing done.
yeah, no, I've got a sense of urgency as well.
Do you want the bagpipes
Um,
back or
uh, well, put some run rig on.
some what? Sorry,
Run rig.
what the hell is that?
Oh, actually, hot
No, you
chili
don't. No,
peppers.
no,
Chili peppers.
no. Otherwise, people will just call up the hotline to be on hold. So why don't we just you just do your thinking, and then
All right. Okay. So what I'm thinking is, you're asking what's our competitive advantage. This is really what you're getting at.
no, not really. I'm saying that the things of value that we think can be of benefit to innovation or business as a whole
Mm-hmm.
have become decoupled from a cohesive platform that we present and have become available in equivalent components.
Okay. Can you um
To pick a specific example,
uh, oh yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
a
I'm just
specific
taking notes.
example is this reasoning technique that we've got. If we were to capture it into a platform that we made, um, is that valuable? Yes. I think that
Mm-hmm.
it is useful to use for ourselves,
And it's easily copied as well.
easily copied, and we'd kind of give it away. And
Mm-hmm.
if people want to pay us for the tokens, fine, we'll charge for tokens. But that's a side effect. Again, the blockchain piece. Well, if the decentralization matters, we've got some other people who are likely to have done it first.
Mm-hmm.
Better. And so, so what there? Like, should we just glue into them? Now we have this reasoning platform, or sorry, reasoning SaaS app that runs on someone else's blockchain that does the stuck loop.
Um. Uh. Okay. Pause. I guess you're right. Product is the right name for it because what we want to do is to produce something that others consume, and
Yeah.
then everything that they go by.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I was talking at cross purposes because I was talking about the mode of thinking about AIs and so on, which is actually in defense. You can't defend that as a piece of IP because ideas are not IP.
That's right.
In terms of a defensible product, um, I guess it follows that we should be clagging in the likes of AO and O1 as quickly as possible, and using that as a reasoning for improving a product, that product being the Dreamcatcher. Now, we've also got the decentralized AI layer, which, it's hard to say, probably someone else is working on right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if it just
Yeah,
drops in the blue sky.
yeah, yeah. And so I don't know how this helps us, but we need to know about those things, and we need to have an opinion on them, whether or not they're a suitable alternative for us to use versus our own structure.
Well, what we do have as right now, because nobody knows about us, what we do have is a very good, I think, defensible way of reasoning with the bots where we get excellent results. And so maybe what I should be doing is doing a bit of competitive research around who else is doing it, and maybe someone's done something
No, I
that
don't
we
think so. I
forgot.
don't think so. I think what you should be trying to use the reasoning techniques to do the research in a way that it's O1 that's actually doing the work, and then we should try and capture that into a platform that makes it so there's zero cut and paste, and you don't need a pro subscription and all that, because
Yeah, okay.
right,
Yeah, the first part is straightforward because that's what we've been
right.
doing anyway.
So but
Um,
that capturing that into a product is an entirely separate exercise to building the Dreamcatcher. It appears to
it
be
is.
required because it turns out the Dreamcatcher is quite a large thing, and so having this AI assisted reasoning becomes essential. But it's independent. The NAPS platform, that's a good thing. That's independent. The
Yeah, and what
blockchain way of running it is independent.
yeah, and what you were saying other 2 calls ago about the compilation of reasoning into JSON, I think is a really good idea. I've been thinking about that a lot, trying to poke holes in it, and I think your reasoning is sound. Your thinking is sound.
Yeah, but that
Um,
that only works at the concrete usage layer. It doesn't work at the strategic layer. Like, what is our strategy for the next year? How will we spend our money and our time?
I disagree because the what we've got is core reasoning and compilation down into JSON, and then the whole point of putting
Okay.
into JSON
Yeah. Okay.
is that
Yeah.
you populate it with information, and then you can reason about the information that you populated because it's well structured.
Right. Because it's baked in a sense. It's
Right,
it's
right.
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'll concede that. So what we're really trying to construct then is a set of software tools and techniques that allow us to answer any business problem faster, with higher grade quality, with far more base data than ever before, so that we can sort of start to run a lot of things on autopilot, and we can actually remove the anxiety from what we're doing, because we're like, well, we can see everything, and
Yeah,
we
yeah,
know that this O1 model, O1 Pro, or any model, doesn't have to be the best reasoner for it to be the thing we use. It only has to be better than us. And I think what I'm actually saying is that I can see that in the case of strategic direction and allocation of resources, provided we can ask the right questions, O1 can do a better job than I can.
This leads on to another thing, and I love you like a brother, and I hesitate to say this, but um, unless you're working in NL, anyone is going to be outstripped by an order or two of magnitude. It doesn't matter what you're doing. So the likes of Artifact and so on, unless
So
you
even
sort of
building Artifact is building Artifact, but even though I'm leveraging, say, Cursor to help me with that, even that is lost.
yeah, and we're already seeing these guys, the AO guys. They're saying they started up in February. We were talking about the stuff they're talking about last November when you were over here. Or was it even last year November? Or was it the year before? I don't know. We were talking.
It was
talking about
no, it was
before.
1 year and 1 month ago.
Yeah.
It's the coldest month of my life.
These guys are like,
Well, they're young and they're enthusiastic and they've got a token,
exactly.
and so we need to figure out how do we deliver the payload. The payload is ambient attribution running in the stuck loop with an ambient attribution cycle, and we need to be very practical about how we deliver that. And if we can find a well-reasoned substitute for Artifact, we should take it. Just because
Artifact is your partnership, and what I'm just saying is, unless you're leveraging LLMs to the max, then we're going to get outpaced on that part.
Okay,
so your brain needs to be in the NL world.
So getting outpaced
as quickly as possible.
Getting outpaced in code means that to avoid that, we need to take a gear shift pause, and we need to move to reasoning so that we develop Artifact. First of all, we reason about the need for Artifact and does it even need to be commissioned, or can we pull something else off the shelf?
That's an interesting question, but yeah.
Yeah, and then if we decide to commission it, the reasoning needs to be done first before any code is laid down. And that's probably the difference, right? Because right now I'm like, I can sort of see how to do it, so I'm trying to do it in code.
Yeah.
But what I think you're saying is that I'll get outpaced versus someone who just took a pause, did the reasoning, used the latest models to grind out all the logic, and then came at it using the models on the way down, right?
Yeah. And for now, but this is going to be stripped from us pretty soon. Is a very well-tuned reasoning model, but it's not hard for someone else to come.
It's not hard. It's not hard, and we gotta just imagine that there's other smart people out there doing the same thing. But the thing that we care about delivering is using these hardcore models to do attribution, right? And so
attribution is a nut. That is a difficult nut.
Yeah.
To crack.
And we've tangled up the stuck loop with attribution because we're like, well, it kind of doesn't work if it's just attribution. The stuck loop is required because you get that network effect.
Yeah. Maybe we've misstepped here because stuck loop could be internal.
Okay, so either way, it's very obvious that we should apply reasoning techniques to the Dreamcatcher so that we can settle even these discrepancies about the Dreamcatcher, right? Because we have, I don't know, 5 different products that we could pursue if we so choose. Each one of them can be independently done, managed, profited from, all that. Except the Dreamcatcher doesn't seem like because it's
Nobody's
the
doing
thing that needs all the
that.
pieces.
Yeah.
No one else is going to do that one. And so that's
Oh,
the one we should reason out first.
oh, yeah. All these other products we could possibly use because we were talking about decentralized AI. We were talking about NAPs and so on. I don't have confidence that some other smart guy, given these tools, will just like say, "Hey, done it." Oh, by the way, I've just raised 100
Right.
million.
Yeah, right. Because we might be, we might reason about it, decide it's good, and then miss someone who just turned up and did it, which would have cost us time that we should have spent on the other thing.
Right. So again, your question of about 2 months ago is what should we be spending our time
Yeah.
on?
And it sounds like it's the reasoning tooling and the reasoning about the Dreamcatcher. Yeah?
I think so. I think so.
Because
I agree. I
okay,
agree.
I think there's several strong reasons to do that. First of all, we need it anyway. Second of all, the pieces that we depend on will be affected by that reasoning because we might realize that we don't need some big chunks that we thought we did, like naps, and we can dump those. But thirdly, as you mentioned, given that time's going by and the rate of tech advancement is the fastest it's been in forever, the things we need might just appear. And so if we spent time on it, it means we didn't spend time on the Dreamcatcher stuff. And so then we're in a, not so much a worse position, but it's just that we didn't get to the Dreamcatcher as quickly as possible.
It's almost like there's a rule of thumb heuristic here that if it seems obvious to us, it's going to seem obvious to someone else, and with the tools, someone else is going to do it.
Yep,
And
obvious is obvious, yeah.
Right. The stuck loop is not, I would argue, obvious.
I don't think that matters. I don't think that matters whether it's obvious or not. Things appear out of the blue sky that were not obvious to me all the time. Just because something's not obvious doesn't mean it's not going to appear.
True. Agree. Yeah. The point I was making is, what is our fallback? In like Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
you got a number of layers. You go back to your keep, your final fallback. What's our fallback?
The fallback is ambient attribution. Ambient attribution. That's all there is.
So, because that involves a lot of thought. I can't imagine.
Well, and sacrifice because it sucks to do it. You got to completely self-fund it. Because when I look at the A0 blockchain and its fundraising mechanisms, its incentive mechanisms, they did a token sale. They got private equity on board. There's people looking to cash out.
It all gets distorted, because you've got a bunch of guys saying, "Oh, I need money back."
Yeah. Right.
I think that's our fallback.
Right. So that's a problem because where does that put us with the CRM? The CRM kind of just needs to be done, but does it? I guess is the awkward, ugly question.
Well, to be honest, man, and I'm not blowing smoke up our collective arses here, but we could do the CRM in 2 days.
You mean as a conventional app?
Yeah. No, as an NLLM enabled app that has core reasoning. Has
right.
JSON,
So if I ditch Artifact, and I just use a Postgres database or a SQL database,
we could do it in two. I don't know, 2 days, but like a handful, small number of days. We could do it. The stuff that we're thinking about and we've talked about for the last hour or so, is how to survive in a world that is accelerating in the use of AI. Now, that is not what the CRM guys care about, but they do have some cash that they'll give to us, which would be nice. And it's almost like if we just paused the whole let's stay at the flame front, which is still, I do believe actually we're ahead of the flame front by a modest 2 or 3 weeks, given evidence. If we pause that and just do the CRM and get some cash, yay, cool. I don't know whether that's the right thing to do though, because the flame front is accelerating.
We want to use the stuck loop inside the CRM because we don't have any other commercial operation.
Yeah,
where
but
we can...
we've got this. We continually talk about having shitty versions and just having the stuck loop improve the stuck loop. We've got a
Right,
shitty
but
stuck loop.
we don't have a shitty stuck loop right now.
We've got the reasoning layer on it.
Right.
What we don't do is a presentation layer of any way that anyone actually could use it.
Okay, so does any kind of... Okay, this is fun because it means that we can actually, even though we agree that we need to do the reasoning for the Dreamcatcher first, there are, because we know so much about it or have used it so much,
Yeah.
there are certain things that no matter what the reasoning output is, still have to be done. One of those things is the front end where you can interact with LLMs, right?
Well, it was the Palantir kind of 3-box thing.
Right, but what's becoming the most important button in the whole system is this button. The stuck button.
Well, it's most important to us.
That's what I mean. When I say most important, I mean, who the hell else would I mean, sir?
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, for the customer, what they'd like is a perfect product that never changes and never gets stuck. And
okay, so let's ignore them. But from our point of view, this button is
the most important thing. Yeah. It's golden.
Thing.
We should make it goldy looking.
You want to make that gold looking?
Make it glow.
Oh, like some glitters and sparkles around it. So instead of fixed responses, like glitter sparkles.
Yeah, because
maybe
this is the thing. Let me take a step back and kind of go a bit meta on this.
Yep.
What I'm seeing is there's a lot of very, very smart people getting very excited about an amazing tool that's just dropped onto their lap, like everyone else, like they have with us, and they are going hell for leather and going through brokers and the usual thing to get lots of money in order to do what? Build a company, a HR. Let's get a dev team.
Yes. Can we skip? Yeah. Can we skip forward?
Yes. But the point being, the whole point of Dreamcatcher is to just say, well, flick the bird to that whole thing.
Yeah.
And so that bird is our, maybe that should be a logo. That bird is our only thing that we can really, actually, honestly, double down on that nobody else is doing. Everyone else is trying to cash in.
Everyone else is trying to make a company, and we're trying to make the next generation of what commercial coordination is.
Exactly.
Okay, and we're doing it through this button.
Kind of weird way. That button is everything.
Okay, so no matter what we do in the reasoning on the Dreamcatcher, this UI still needs to exist, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And most importantly, this button within this UI needs to exist, yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm not wasting any time if I build that bit?
Oh, God, no. That is possibly the only bit you should bother about, because other bits will be built for you at the speed of,
I'm not convinced that Artifact will be built for me, but I need to figure out what we miss out on. Like, that's where the reasoning comes in, right?
Can I, well, you know the respect I have for you.
You don't need to say that, buddy. The fact that we're sitting here.
Yeah, I know. Um, I don't have sight into Artifact, and you say Artifact is complex and so on, but we're talking about getting reasoning as the core about what needs to happen in order for LLMs to generate stuff. That stuff could easily be code. It could be haikus.
Yeah.
It could be anything you want.
So you're saying that if we get good at reasoning, which we're not good at reasoning yet, we've started down the path of reasoning.
I think we're I don't know.
It doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't matter. The point I was going to make is that we're not really matured in our reasoning because it's quite a new thing. We don't have any software built to help us. We're still doing it cut and paste or inside an IDE like Cursor.
Right. It's something similar to that because you were very kind and felt my pain over the last year or so with the cut and pasting. I'm now feeling your pain in having to actually hit a keystroke in order to build code. And maintain the coherence and consistency of that when we've got a core reasoning model, which
it's like we need some. There's some little tools that we need. We need to be able to do reasoning in our own platform so that we can apply tools in a unique way, right?
So
okay, so that sort of leaves us back.
Can you indulge me with an analogy? Say if I wanted an API to go out and see what the weather is in Scotland, I'd want to be able to have the definition of weather in the core reasoning, and I would just want that API just to be done. Not a single line of code.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Now, I think Artifact is not taking advantage of the interconnectedness of the reasoning model that we've got in order to say, right, okay, so you don't need this, you do need that. Now, it takes cycles, of course, but you can get closer and closer and closer much quicker than you can hitting keys.
So what you're saying is that the building Artifact by hand or even with Cursor, building Artifact without reasoning is going to take longer than building the reasoning and then using the reasoning to build Artifact.
Right. It's like trying to build a Morgan which was built by artisans and they're amazing at it versus Ford, who wiped out the market.
Right, but during the time that Ford was constructing his production line, he looked stupid.
He did. Mind you, he was right.
Sorry, what's that mean? You mean like we might be wrong, and so we'll spend all this time and then be wrong?
No, what's the best way to say this? You're an artisan crafting code in a world that everyone else, we've got a tool dropped that crafts code, but also gives you contraindications, gives you indications, gives you connections, and allows you to reason at a higher level.
So the correct path to take is to do the reasoning on Artifact before building Artifact.
I think so. I think Artifact falls out of this.
Okay, so where does that leave the CRM? Does that imply we should do the reasoning about the CRM before we build the CRM?
Say that again. Do the reasoning about the CRM before the CRM. Yes.
Yep. Okay. Well, then to do the reasoning, we need the reasoning about the reasoning to be able to build the tools for the reasoning.
Yes, we do, and we've got Cursor at the moment, which is
Cursor's enough to get us started on reasoning.
It's a 50%. solution, right?
Yeah.
And it's like 100% better than what we were doing before. Um, it's not the end product. It's not the way to do it yet, but it is the best. So using Cursor. Okay, so let me get more specific. The reason Cursor is why I'm so fanboy of Cursor is you can point it at the context and say, consider this, consider that, consider this. Um, this is paramount above everything else I've said. In prompting, with just ats and folders and files, you can fine tune prompts way more than you can do on any kind of like public uh, portal. You can fine tune prompts and saying this is just ignore everything else, and then you get
Yeah.
exceptionally good results.
But
So
so what?
the point being, I'm a fanboy of Cursor. Cursor is built for code. I'm using it purely in NL, not a single line of
Yeah.
code.
Yeah, but the reason why you're doing that is the same issue that we have. Like, we're just acting as a conduit or a presentation of the AIs. The AIs are the real star here. Cursor's just like, people think Cursor's great. It's not. It's the AI that's great.
No. I agree. Cursor
People
people think
think
Cursor's great.
our platform is great, but it's not. It's the AI that's great. And so
Yeah,
what is it that's left behind to do?
the
You
so
know,
Cursor is a 50% solution, which depends on LLMs. In order to just not to be VS Code. Um, the thing that makes it great is the fact that I can say, right, consider this, this, and this, ignore everything else, this is paramount, etc., and get a good reasoning model out of it, and then I can write that to permanency.
okay, so what we need then is this interface here with the ability to control the context finally, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
really you want this thing with a bunch of files in the background that represent the definitions, and then you want to be able to reason about it in the prompt.
yeah, yeah. Spot on.
Yeah, okay, but that
I know. Okay, is that
that
hard? I don't know.
well, that in my mind that needs a piece of artifact.
Yes, and Artifact, I'd also argue. Now, this might be a stretch too far, but there's a whole bunch of guys out there with this amazing tool. Um, we can create, I think, definitions around Artifact and do exactly the same thing with Artifact. I think. Maybe.
Well, what you're saying is that it's essential to our thesis that we can. Like, you're saying that everything we ever want to build can be done by reasoning about it first, and then using the reasoning to help instruct the AIs to render the solution. That's what you're
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
right?
And we got reasoning loop, and we've got a huge, massive cognitive tool that'll help us.
That's just getting better and better,
Yeah,
more and more steerable and tunable.
yep. And then can like just spew out code. Bah, there you go.
And
And
good code too, I might add.
yeah.
Okay, so
Sorry,
then
sorry, man. Probably better than code that you'd write.
oh, way better.
Uh,
That's way better.
yeah,
But I mean, like, I am already using those models by way of GitHub Copilot or Cursor to do my code. But what's really, I'm still in charge of laying the base code, and what you're saying is that I should document it first, or describe it, specify it, require it first,
yes,
use the reasoning process that we have sort of hand artisan crafted that we will soon distill down into a machine,
Yeah.
take the
Yeah.
reasoning, get the bot to make the code, and then just sort of twiddle the code and twiddle the reasoning until the output is correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and cycle round. And remember the thing I was saying about AIs necessarily are derivative, whereas human brains are
Yep.
forward-looking.
Yep. So to get that
I'm sorry.
going,
I feel like I'm being quite harsh here.
I feel
no
like I'm being
intention.
harsh to you, so let's just call that even.
Okay.
So thinking.
Pause. Yep.
In order for you to have the cursor-like context control within this interface on screen, there is a portion of artifact that you would need that is the Git file system portion. You would not need any of the execution ability that we had tried to put in there, because you don't need to do very much or anything in parallel. To do reasoning does not currently need large parallel jobs, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Large parallel jobs are just going to be wiped out because they're just getting faster and faster.
That's
and
false.
Even if it
That's
takes,
false. That's false.
3 minutes. Sorry, go ahead.
That's absolutely false.
Why is that false?
That's false because I can immediately think of algorithms to do reasoning that would require large numbers of parallel jobs to improve the quality of the reasoning and the speed at which it comes back. But all that is true is that the way that we are currently thinking about reasoning does not require multiple parallel jobs.
Yes. My contra to that, which is actually not so contra.
I actually don't care to argue about it. I don't care about being right, and I don't think it helps us anyway, whether we're right or wrong there.
Can I indulge you in it anyway and say it? The indulgence of waiting 2 minutes for a correct reason is better than having something that is inferior after 2 seconds right now.
Yeah, that's irrelevant.
No, it is.
Anyway,
yeah. Okay. All right.
we need the reasoning. Let's just assume that somehow or other it comes out, and I'm trying to work through. There are some pieces that you're asking for that are not trivial to make. We don't have a full reasoning system in place. We need to make one, and so we need to make some code without the full reasoning system. And I'm trying to figure out how to do semi-reasoning to get little bits of artifact. And one of the little bits of artifact is the pure Git-based file system without the execution ability. So without where it's just simply acting like a database effectively.
Okay.
Where it's got file.
That's a really useful example. So let's take just Git.
Yeah.
The reasoning should know there is a thing called Git, and here's what it does, and that's
Yeah.
pure NL.
Yeah, and I should be able to make a software module that is reasoned about first in text and then generated from code, and then through a combination of me.
Oh yeah. You should be able to do that. Yeah.
Right, from a combination of the fact that I've already got code that sort of does it, plus I know what it needs to do. I should from that be able to coax the bots to make the code out of the reasoning.
Yes.
Right, which then allows me to plug it into this thing, which then gives us the backing store for the CRM.
Yep.
And then we can start doing the CRM as just a like no parallel code execution, just single threaded, single agent.
Yep.
Single agent LLMs with Git-based file storage.
Yep.
Then that gives
Which,
us reasoning.
yeah. And then
And
we've
from
got
reasoning,
domains.
we've
Yeah,
got
sorry,
what,
go on.
sorry?
Domains.
Yeah, so that gives us a reasoning tool, which means we can create domains easily without cut, paste, clone, push, pull, all those things. And then we can use that to decide which domain to pursue more of. Does Artifact need parallel execution capability? Does it need blockchain consensus? Does it need to be hooked up to an NFT capable blockchain?
Right.
Right? Those kinds of things.
Right. Right. Exactly.
This
And I will
feels
bet
strange, but
I will bet you 5 good Scots pounds.
I'm not taking any more bets. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, you wuss.
I am
I
almost.
was, well, it's going to sit out there. I bet you 5 good Scots pounds that if we do that, the CRM we could do in half a day.
That's not
possibly inside
no.
of a meeting. Because
So
of
where
the
does that leave us though? Like, what are we? How does this little spanner relate to all of that?
Right. Okay. So the spanner is actually separate from the CRM. So the CRM guys want something just to work. Okay. We want the
Right.
spanner. We want the
Well,
spanner. They don't need the spanner. They want a perfect system that will work for evermore.
they want the
for
spanner, but
humanity.
they want it implied. Everyone who receives software wants it to come with a spanner, but they need it implied. I think there were issues in the chat-based interface of delivering software allows you to have a spanner that's very direct, whereas in traditional software, you know, where would you even?
Sorry. Oh shit! That sounded horrible. Sorry.
Okay, I gotta go in like 10 minutes anyway.
All right.
Do you
Okay.
want to just
Right.
call it here?
No. Let's use the 10 minutes and then any way you want
All right.
because I'm
Okay.
I think well I am content with where we're at with this, but you're about to say what do we do next?
Yeah, I'm always saying that though. And one day I'm gonna make a bot to just repeat that for me. But I guess the spanner is only really applicable because of this whole chat-based interface explosion. Because a traditional app, because it was all like, you know, the app was always sprinkled all over the place. You couldn't really put a spanner on it.
Well,
What?
that is a fundamental, and maybe we should make a blog on this. That is the fundamental problem with AI is you put in one sentence and you get 1,000 words out. And you go, what are the implications of that? And it's like, maybe if you could compress that and then
Yeah,
get rid
that wasn't what I was meaning. I was meaning on like a Web 2.0 SaaS app. The application structure itself is so I don't even know what the word is for it, but in chat it's turn-based, and if you've got a turn-based app, then you can have a problem with how one of the turns went. But a traditional conventional web app is not turn-based. It's like all over the place with tabs and drop downs and
that's a really good analogy. Yeah, I like
right.
that. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
even when we have the state board, like here's an example of the state board popping up. Even when we have the state board, you still have this turn-based notion where you can have a problem with the exact state of this complex widget right now, right? And that's what I'm getting at, that the spanner hasn't really been, it hasn't fitted into the flow. The spanner requirement was always there from every customer since eternity. They want to be able to say, I was doing this and it didn't work how I wanted and it sucks and you better damn well fix it, pretty
Wow,
please.
okay, so I know you've only got 8 minutes left, but that is worth using those 8 minutes on what you just said. So, people's interaction with software is software presents itself. I do this, and it's like the person presents itself saying, "I want to do that." They might not actually agree. Up to this point, where do you go?
What do you do, right? Yeah, and it's complicated.
Right.
You either switch vendors or something like that. But there's something about chat interfaces that, first of all, enables the spanner, but also makes the fix be pluggable, which means that a universal app is sort of upon us. And if we can get the spanner, if you could have the app become anything you wanted just by how you use the spanner and how the spanner replied,
And you get
then your app
you
can
get
be anything.
hyper personalized apps, which is
Yeah,
what we were talking about
that's
with
what we're trying to
Jitters,
do. That's
right?
what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
And so it sort of feels like, yes, we need this interface. Okay, I'm getting good results out of this interface. It's easy to maintain. It's easy to keep up. New features are falling out the sky because other devs are working on it.
Can I is this suitable for me to start working on this other than Cursor or not yet?
You're welcome to use it. It's always reasonably stable.
Okay.
mcp.dreamcatcher.land. But
Yeah.
the question, what we need is what are the tools that are required so that what happens when I click this button, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, how do we attach context to each chat? I think I've got that figured out.
Okay.
So if I can just have a little bit of time to work on that one. And then number three is, what do you want it to do? Like you need to start being able to actually tell me what you want it to do reasoning, and you need to
Yeah.
do
Okay.
some reasoning work on it. Like, what's the first feature you want? If you had to pick one, what is it?
Let me give you that one. So number 2 is your Parship, right? Number 1, clicking on the
Better.
2 is direct stuck, which implies
Yeah, but where does it go? Like, I know what it's meant to do, but specifically, like,
well, we talked about that before. I'll not go through that. Okay, and then there's implied stucks, which are already defined in terms of the core definitions of Dreamcatcher.
So how do we get the reasoning that's happening right now in the reasoning directory? How do we get it inside of this app so that you can have a chat about the Dreamcatcher right here?
Well, why would you? Why would you want to talk about the Dreamcatcher? You'd only want to talk about the Dreamcatcher if the Dreamcatcher is doing something that you cognitively thought it should do and didn't do. And you're like,
No, I mean,
hey,
we want to use this tool right now to do reasoning about the Dreamcatcher, right?
right, okay. So when you hit the spanner, you can talk about either the thread of the context of what you're talking about. Say if we're talking about the CRM, click that. You and I may want to talk about the core definitions of the Dreamcatcher, saying, "Whoa, we just had 3 guys saying something. Tell us what the implications are to the definitions." Then we want the definitions cycling around, and evals is sitting out there. That was something I really need to get onto, and update, push, and then everything improves. Now, with O1, it's given a few good men, let's say, a few good people, having something pushed to you saying, oh, there's these guys trying to do this on the CRM, and you've got a PR guy, and you've got a marketing guy, and you've got this other whatever insurance guy. They've got all a problem with how the Dreamcatcher works. Then when we click that, we should be talking to the Dreamcatcher, but it's the same pattern. We're talking about the core. So we've got domains. The Dreamcatcher is a domain. The CRM is a domain. The insurance guy is a domain. we need to have context, and then we're talking about that. But then the really important thing is, what is the implications of if we change any of these definitions? Because that very quickly gets beyond the ken of any human mind.
Yeah, so how do I implement that? Like that's
no,
that's all great. What do I do?
All you need to do, all we need to do is when I hit that, there is a context.
You hit the spinner.
You hit the spanner. Which definitions are you talking to now? Then I can do the prompting around talking to that, and then doing the same.
Yeah, but that's the problem though. Like now we need naps because now we've got like an agent that is prompted up with a certain set of definitions and some behavior that we've tested,
which is the implications. Yeah. Which
and
is
now,
why evals is important. It's like,
yeah, but now we know we're better than we were before. We just need all the stuff.
No. I think we're closer than we think.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm gonna stop the recording and upload it because I gotta go.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Stick around. I can stick around for.
Yeah. Can you?